First topic of the day in ridiculous celebrity news. In a recent interview this week with Nick Cannon, he was on a YouTube live show with DVSM and a sex therapist named Dr. Nelson. And at which time he described to the world that he apparently practices he practices consensual non-monogamy. So, and background, as we all know, Nick Cannon is a very fertile individual. So he has quite a few children. He has seven children that are, well, seven children prior to the one who's pregnant now. That's with his eighth kid. But one of them I know passed away last year. So I think he has actually six that are living. But altogether, I believe he fathered eight children. So he has this new thing he's saying that he practiced, which is consensual non-monogamy, meaning that he does not have the ability to be in a monogamous relationship, but it's consensual among the people he's in a relationship with. Kelly, what are your thoughts on this concept?
You know what? Let me just say, if you don't want to be monogamous, that is totally up to you. If you do not want to be monogamous, and if the people who, if you mean consensual, if they have no problem with that, cool. Now, on a personal level, I think that's absolutely well within your right. Where I get the side eyeing you is when you bring in babies into stuff and you spread, I like to call them popcorn babies, where you got all of these pop, pop, pop babies all over the place and you are not in anyone's household. It is hard to be like, non monogamy is one thing, but then you're making life and you're not able to be there adequately enough to be present in those children's lives to help raise them to be a father, quote unquote. Monetary value means nothing. But that time spent with those kids, I think is incredibly selfish. And I think it's because you want this. It's a selfish thing. Cool that you see that you can't be monogamous, but why can't you not see that you also probably creating some issues, some daddy issues by having so many freaking kids in these non-monogamous relationships? And then what does that also show your kids as far as, and far be it from me, I'm an unwed mother or whatever, so what? But not so what, not so what. I'm an unwed mother, but I definitely work very hard so that my kids have a relationship with their father so that they see that we're a team and that he's as present as I am. You can't do that. Not only is he busy, he has all of these, business ventures and things like that. Like that alone takes up a lot of his time. But then you add multiple kids that you have to give quality time to. I think is incredibly selfish. Not the monogamy, not the non-monogamy part. If you know that about yourself, you know that about yourself. Cool, but you bring in life and you creating turmoil just for your own personal ego, and I think that part is jacked up on the mom, both of their parts, because them baby moms are stupid too. But whatever. Not say, you know what? No judge, but judging.
All right, Demetrius, any thoughts?
Just like Kelly said, as far as the selfish goes, I am a single mother of one. And, when me and his father was together, which was my son's only 3. So he didn't get to witness that much time with us together. And it's time he won't remember anyway. But I just look at the fact that just as a 3-year-old, or when he was even 2, on his iPad, when he will look at old videos of him or old pictures, he'll just keep replaying it and replaying and replaying it. And this is a 2, well, he's 3 now, but this started kind of like when he was 2. And I have to deal with that, him missing his father, because his father could only see him for a certain amount of time. And now, because of his work schedule, and I can only imagine because of Nick Cannon's work schedule and how busy he is. And we're not celebrities or really wealthy people, not right now. But he, my son's father is like, well, since I started a new job, I don't know when I'm going to, basically make time or see him because of my work schedule. So you have all these kids that you're making with different women, And how are you, like she said, giving them adequate time? You're not there when the child is obviously going to miss you. It's different when you start in a home or you just have a kid with somebody, but don't go out making a bunch of babies, especially with different women, and you can't provide that time. Do you think the money would suffice? Like, oh well, because I'm rich, I can just give them money and you know what I mean, and let that be that. I don't know. I don't know his reasoning for having all these kids with different women. And as far as the women goes, it's like really it's for the bag. You know, it's like have a baby by me, baby, be a millionaire. Like you have a baby by somebody wealthy, rich, or whatever the case may be. It's like almost like a dollar sign on your kid's forehead. And given the times we in, you know, can't say I probably wouldn't. I don't know. I'm just saying, but it's just like I don't want to do a disservice to my child. It's already like even in my situation, I have to watch my child miss his father, and then I always wonder how kids cope with when the parent actually does passes away. I'd be wondering like, you know, what is he thinking now? Like, where is his father? Because he doesn't understand that daddy has to work or daddy is choosing work over the time spent because you're still not going to get the adequate time I give him, but you can do more. But, you know, guys have this excuse where they could check in and check out, pop in and pop out when they want to, and their work, oh, we got to work. Well, unless you we got to work too. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I just think it's very selfish. Is you know he shouldn't, but you know who am I?
I
The
think
whole situation is actually also interesting. During the interview, he also made the comment that he's practiced monogamy. He's also been a cheater and he's been toxic. And he added that he wanted to be the best self I can possibly be, to be the best father I can possibly be. So in his head, he has this, I guess, belief that being honest with himself, that he has the inability to be monogamous, is it's good for his parenting, because now he can do what makes him feel good so that he can be the best father. Now I think that's a cop out.
what a
Don't
narcissist.
get it don't get it twisted. When I was reading this also, I saw that that the therapist was trying to, give him like a pass, almost like, yeah, that is a thing. No, I've never heard of no non-monogamy. There's a like monogamy is a term just because that's what it is. But if you're not monogamous, it just means you're not a faithful type of person. I don't think we need to give a title to something to call it non-monogamy. Just say I ain't faithful, I can't be in one relationship. Let's not call it something like it makes sense and says consensual non-monogamy. It just means you're a cheater and they're willing to put up with you being a cheater.
And two, it's probably, and then when with a bunch of money and fame, you start to dictate how you move. Because not to say that, I mean, I know I've heard men that ain't famous have multiple kids by multiple women, so that doesn't mean they wouldn't have had kids with you. But it's like you get to dictate, you get to do this, and you can't be faithful to one woman. You can't try your best to a woman that you love, but you can give all yourself to all these kids you're making. Like,
But who says he loves any of these women though?
I don't think he do. I think, you know what, Nick Cannon is the damn narcissist, like a lot of those dudes up in there. Let me tell you something. Just say you like to stick your Peter Weeder in multiple people and you want the option to do it and you don't like to pull out. Just say that, all right? Just say every time you get a girlfriend, you see something that might be a little better, and because your ego's so bruised and because your ego's so high, you just feel the need to test out all of these different kind of women and you don't pull out. You're irresponsible. Just say that. You can be responsible in some aspects and be irresponsible in other aspects. You just don't appreciate, you just don't want, just, it's fine. You don't want a relationship, you don't want this, but don't say, oh, I'm bad at being in monogamous relationships. No, you like the attention that you get, because you want to be walking around here with a turban on your head all the time if you didn't. But you like the attention you get. You like the fact that all of these women crave after you, and you can't seem to settle down with one because it ought to be somebody else. If somebody else wants and you want to stick, stop playing.
And he's been in the industry for so long. It's
but let's
like,
be honest about that though. We're saying that, and it's going to be probably really sound really mean, but let's be clear. Even though Nick Cannon has a lot of different business ventures, how honestly, but having 8 kids, do we actually think? Because I don't think any of his business ventures. It's not like he's a a Dr. Dre, 50 Cent type of person where they have these business ventures where you can see it grosses this large amounts of money.
Mhm.
So I have a hard time believing that if you have 6 living children plus another one on the way, and even when you had the other one that was, before she passed, did you really have enough, like all of this money they think they're going to get from him? Because you're sharing that pot with so many different people, and I'm pretty sure Mariah probably gets majority of that pot because she's not only was she has the
The wife.
twins, but not only she had a marriage, so she could probably get more than a typical,
But
sorry,
And he
Mariah
ladies,
got
probably
more
gold
has
money
digger.
than Nick
Like,
Cannon got ever.
he probably have investments that we know nothing
Yeah, but
about.
Mariah got
He
way more
probably has
money. She ain't worried about him. She like, whatever.
well, if he had
right. He
investment, he
probably has
shouldn't have been
property
crying when they
that
let him go from that TV show.
Cause you, and
yeah.
you know what? I just think he being selfish. He's being extremely selfish. Oh, well, that's gonna help me be a better father. How? How? Because
Houseway.
how, Sway? Right. No, it's helping you be a better father because you think that if you're happy, as long as you're happy, as long as you're satisfied, then that means, okay, in my mind, I'm going to be a nicer person to my kids. You're not thinking about what it is that your kids actually need in order for you to be a good father. You're thinking, oh, okay, if I'm not stuck in the house with their mom, I'm not upset. So therefore, I'm a better father. No. Are you going to be present to even for them to see what it looks like for you to be upset at sometimes? Come on now.
And we don't even know if he's done with making kids. Like he's probably still got some more on the way. But I mean, I will hope that you know how much money you got to spread around if you're gonna keep. Because I mean, like to spread the wealth, because that's what you're doing. You know what I mean. You have to, and they only have
But how
any.
real is it that he's gonna actually be in it and be like, "Oh yeah, I can make another one because I got this much more left to give. Let me get." No, he's not doing that. He's not pulling out because he likes the feeling. Let's be
He like
real.
all of that because you don't need all that money to be a good father. You don't. Most of them kids, those kids, don't get me wrong, is in the eyes of the baby mama. Think could you put in a little bit in the pot? That'd be great. But as far as the kid is concerned, is my dad around? Can I see him? Do he talk to me? Did I learn some lessons for him? Am I getting that time with him? That's what them
And
kids
that's the
care about.
saddest
They
part.
don't care about all of that stuff at the end of the day. Because if that was the case, if money solved parental issues, all these damn trust fund kids and all these kids around here wouldn't be on all these damn drugs and having all these issues, even though they have, what people would say a great, quote unquote, great life because of they have the money. It's
Right.
not about that. You could be a terrible parent and still have a bunch of money, which Nick Cannon, sorry, I don't care how many big birthday parties and big birthday bashes you do, you doing them a disservice. And honestly, if the mom has no problem, don't get me wrong, I don't think you have to be with the father necessarily in order for you to have your kids to have a good relationship as far as like, having both their parents, but they have to be present. There's only so much I can do as a mother, and that kid, especially if like you're around and you haven't passed on, they're going to wonder why you ain't here like my mama is. Like, don't
Hmm.
you love me
We
like that?
how many we are products of fatherless, or we some of us had our fathers in, but depending on how much time they put
Not
in,
as present. Every
not
other
as
weekend
present.
don't make
And
a father. Let me
right,
tell
so
you,
my
my
mom,
stepdad, who
yeah,
was
my
there all the time. I have a father who I saw every other weekend, and family gatherings and things like that. And then I also had a stepfather. My stepfather is the one that taught me how to change a tire. My stepfather is the one that would pick me up from school, have those talks with me when I was going through stuff, like if I was going through stuff with my mom or things like that. My stepfather was the first person when I went on my first date, gave me $5 and a knife and said, "Here, this is for you to call a cab, and this for you to no, this for you to stab that sucker if he tries something. This for you to call a cab afterwards." That was my stepfather because he was there and he was present in my life, and that's the one honestly that I hold. I love my dad, but my stepfather is my dad, my father, because he was actually present. And it wasn't about no money, it wasn't about nothing like that. It's because those memories were there. And that's what the importance is. And I think a lot of fathers are getting that. And I think there are a lot of good present fathers, but you still got these stupid people that be procreating and think, oh, if I buy my baby some Jordans, I'm gonna be the best father ever. No.
So I think if I can summarize, I think the overall belief or thing in this conversation basically is the fact that using the term a consensual non-monogamy is a cop out for him. So I'm not even gonna give him any more of the time for his ridiculousness right now. Turban Tony, we done.
Okay.